Okay. Dear students, welcome to another session of nuclei chapter. Today what we are going to see is about three types of decay, that is alpha decay, beta decay and gamma decay. Then we will try to see further about the nuclear fission reaction. Okay. First we will see about alpha decay. So it is a process of emission of alpha particle from a radioactive nucleus. Okay, it is a process in which an alpha particle is emitted from a radioactive nucleus. So what happens when a nucleus emits alpha particle? You can see here its mass number will be decreased by 4, okay, and its atomic number will be decreased by 2. We will see check the example or the chemical equation. We can see here I've taken X as a nucleus, it's called the parent nucleus, Y as a daughter nucleus. Okay, so we can say XAZ, it gives Y A minus 4 and Z minus 2 plus He4 2. So this is an alpha particle, or we call it as helium nucleus, along with energy. Okay, so this energy is nothing but energy released in the decay process. So we can see X is nothing but parent nucleus, Y is a daughter nucleus, and Q is nothing but energy released in the decay process. So why this atomic number and mass number gets changed? You can see here. See, when you add this one, you are going to get the same. Correct, right? See, if you add it over here, you are going to get A, and if you add it over here, you are going to get Z. So when a parent nuclei disintegrates or undergoes decay, it has to liberate a alpha particle. Okay. The sum of masses of daughter nuclei and alpha particle is less than the mass of the parent nucleus. So why there is energy is released? So you can see that there is a mass defect in this reaction. Okay, the main reason is that masses of daughter nucleus and the alpha particle, okay, so this side is less than the mass of the nucleus. So what happens to the remaining mass? It actually undergoes in a decay process due to the mass defect. So using E is equal to mc square, we can write that energy Q, that is equal to mass of the parent nucleus, that is mx, minus mass of the daughter nuclei, my, minus mass of alpha particle into c square. So according to Einstein's relation E is equal to mc square, we can give the energy relation for this reaction, that will be equal to this one. Okay, so this Q is also called as the net kinetic energy gained in this process. So let's take an example for this alpha decay. We are taking here uranium 238 92. Okay, it is going to give you thorium 234 90 plus helium nucleus with the emission of energy. Okay, so this is all about alpha decay. It's a process in which the nucleus emits alpha particle along with some energy. Next we will going to see about beta decay. So it is a process of emission of an electron from the radioactive nucleus. So in this process, the emission of electron will be taking place. Okay, so beta particles are considered to be a particle which is similar to electron. Then what happens to atomic number? See, atomic number gets added by 1 and mass number is not going to get affected. Why? You can see here, this is the beta particle. Beta particle has got only charge, right? Okay, so here it is negative charge. So what happens here? Atomic number will get added by 1 and mass number is not going to get affected. And Q is nothing but the energy emitted during this process. So Q can also be said that it is the maximum kinetic energy with which the particles are emitted. When the beta particles gets emitted, so whatever change happens with the energy, okay, will be carried along with the beta particle. Now you can give the relation for this energy, that is Q is equal to mx minus my, so mass difference is this one, multiplied by c square. Okay, so it was thought that almost all the beta particle will be emitted with the same or maximum kinetic energy. But in the experiments, we found that not all the particles, very few particles are emitted with the maximum kinetic energy, and almost all the other particles are emitted with the very less energy. So this actually violates, okay, the observed phenomenon actually violates the mass energy relation, because energy has to be conserved, right? Then it is also found that it violates the linear momentum and the angular momentum phenomenons. Okay, then what to do? Next comes Pauli with the hypothesis called neutrino hypothesis. He says that the missing energy is carried by a particle called neutrino. I think you have not heard about neutrino. Neutrino had recently hit the newspaper for its speed actually. So it was considered that the neutrino travels faster than light. Okay, but it is not the exact experiment what happened. There were some error. Otherwise what would have happened is, for the time being, what we know is light travels with the maximum speed. Correct, right? Photons are having highest speed in this universe. So on the basis of that, our entire theories are developed. If this theory fails, like if neutrino travels faster than light, then we will have to rewrite entire theory once again. Okay, so we are lucky that did not happen. Now we will see about this neutrino hypothesis. There exists another particle called neutrino to account the missing energy and momentum. So Pauli comes up with an hypothesis that the missing energy, whatever we have seen here, right? Not all the particles are moving with the same energy. So there is a difference in energy that will be like balanced by neutrino. Then we can see a negative beta decay. So how it will be? In a negative beta decay, you can see a neutron becomes proton with the liberation of electron and a anti-neutrino. So all these particles are having antiparticles. So like electron are having antiparticle called positrons, and neutrinos are having antiparticle called antineutrino. Okay, so in a negative beta decay, neutrons are getting converted into proton with an electron, okay, that is negative beta, and a antineutrino. In a positive beta decay, we can see proton is getting converted into neutron plus a positron and a neutrino. Okay, so neutrinos are natural particles with a very small mass compared to that of electron. So these neutrinos are having very less mass compared to electrons. So it is very difficult to detect these neutrinos. Okay, if you see an example for this beta decay, we can take these two, positive and negative beta decay, with example. You can see here, phosphorus, okay, converts into sulfur with the liberation of negative, that is electron, and a antineutrino. Similarly, for a positive beta decay, sodium gets converted into neon with a positron and a neutrino. Okay, so this is the beta decay process. Next one, we will be going to see about gamma decay. So the phenomenon of emission of gamma rays from a radioactive nucleus is called gamma decay. So actually, while explaining about this gamma rays, I had done a mistake saying that gamma is a particle. But usually in this nuclear physics, we say gamma is a ray. So it is not that it cannot be said, like if you consider gamma as a photon, we know that photon has got both the nature, right? Still, we will be seeing only about the wave nature, or we say gamma rays, not gamma particles. Okay. So what is about this gamma decay? A nucleus after this beta decay will be in the excited state. Okay, beta decay or alpha decay, after this nucleus will be in the excited state. When this excited nucleus de-excites, it emits a photon. You know, right? When atom in the excited state de-excites, it is going to emit photon. Correct, right? Similarly, an excited nucleus, when it de-excites, it is going to emit a photon which will be having very high energy. So those photons are called as gamma photons or gamma rays. We will see here. So this is considered to be a nucleus in the excited state, denoted with a star over here. When this nucleus de-excites, what happens is it goes back to the stable state, okay, with the emission of gamma photon. Okay, we can see an example. The famous example is about cobalt 60. So when this cobalt 60, after beta decay, it goes to nickel, okay, nickel 6028. Then this nickel de-excites to the lower energy states with the two gamma rays. So one gamma ray having energy 1.17 mega electron volt and another gamma ray with the 1.33 mega electron volt, and it goes to the stable state of nickel 60. Okay, so these are about the three types of radioactive decay processes. Okay students, next we will going to see about nuclear fission. So it's already been explained, like a fission is a process in which a heavy nucleus splits into two lighter nuclei. Okay, so you can take the example, you can take an apple and you break into two pieces. Now the initial apple is considered to be the parent nucleus, and the two pieces what you have are the daughter nuclei. Okay, so similar way here what happens is the process of splitting a heavy nucleus into two nuclei of intermediate masses with the release of energy. This is known to be the fission process. When the heavy nucleus splits into two nucleus, what actually happens here? Lot of energy is released. So on the basis of this fission, the nuclear reactor works and we get energy from the nuclear reactor. Okay, we will see about the equation over here. We are taking uranium 235 and it is getting bombarded with a neutron. Okay, so this neutron is called slow neutron or thermal neutron. Only the fission process will take place only when the uranium 235 bombarded with the slow neutron. It is like the same example. If I want to break this apple into two pieces, I have to apply a slow force. At the same time, if I fire into that apple, what happens? It just explodes, right? Similarly, to break exactly into two masses, we have to apply slow force. That's the reason why what we have to do is we have to slow down this neutron which is coming out of a fissionable material. So this is actually done in the nuclear reactor with the use of moderators. Okay. Now we will see this slow neutron getting bombarded with this one. It is going to become unstable. Okay. Then this 23692 uranium is going to get splitted into barium 141 and krypton 92 with the releasing of 3 neutrons and 200 mega electron volt of energy. So in this process, lot of energy is released. The reason that what was explained earlier, the mass of this nucleus, okay, will be greater than the masses of these two daughter nuclei. Mass of this uranium nucleus is greater than mass of the total mass of these two daughter nuclei. Then what happens to the extra mass? That is actually getting converted into energy. Okay, that mass gets converted into energy. Now we can see some other example over here. We can take uranium 235 plus 1 neutron will also give rise to another kind of reaction where you get xenon and strontium with the releasing of 2 neutrons and energy. Again, you can take one more example, that is uranium 235 with the one neutron is going to give antimony and niobium with the releasing of 4 neutrons and energy. So this may be asked for 1 mark, maybe. Okay, you can just remember the exact definition. Now we will see about this chain reaction. So chain reaction is a continuation of this fission process, where what actually happens is, when uranium-235 gets bombarded with a neutron, okay, it gets subproducts. At the same time, this neutron, how many neutrons? Here you have seen 3 neutrons are getting released from this uranium-235 with the subproduct. What happens to these 3 neutrons? It again gets bombarded with the other uranium-235 nucleus. Again, there what happens? The same process, subproducts are obtained along with the again 3 neutrons. Again, those 3 neutrons are going to produce the fission reaction for other, again 3 more uranium-235. So this process continues, and it is known to be a chain reaction. Okay, so we can say it is a self-propagating process in which nuclear fission continues by itself until all the material gets disintegrated. So this fission process is going to get continued till the entire material, okay, whatever we have taken, the uranium-235 gets disintegrated. So we can see here, say 1 neutron actually comes, then it gets bombarded with the uranium-235. Here you get 3 neutrons. These 3 neutrons are going to get bombarded with the again 3 more uranium. Here again you are getting 3 each for all the uranium nucleus. Now this process is going to get continued, or it might get stopped, and there is a factor called neutron multiplication factor has to be attained. So what happens here? See, these 3 neutrons are getting absorbed by these 3 nucleus, right? If these 3 neutrons are not produced, then what happens? Rate of production of nucleus becomes lesser than the rate of neutrons which is present. Then the fission process is going to get stopped. So it is not going to continue, or the chain process will not take place when the production of neutrons becomes lesser than that of the rate of loss of neutrons. So we are taking a factor called neutron multiplication factor, that is noted by a small letter k. It is equal to rate of production of neutrons divided by rate of loss of neutron. When this k value is equal to 1, that means rate of production becomes equal to rate of loss, then we say that the process is critical or steady. The process is called to be critical or steady. That means it maintains. If the value is greater than 1, that means production of neutron becomes greater than that of the rate of loss. See here what happens. Then it is called as supercritical. Supercritical means you are not able to control this reaction. Then what you are actually doing in the nuclear reactor, you are going to dip some control rods. Okay, control rods like a graphite rods or heavy water or such a type of things, which I will discuss next, will be used to control. Then, so supercritical, it is very dangerous situation. That is what happening in the nuclear bomb. Okay. Then if k is less than 1, the rate of loss is greater than rate of production. Then we call that it is subcritical, or after some time the chain reaction is going to get stopped. Okay. So there are two type of chain reaction, that is controlled chain reaction and uncontrolled chain reaction. In the controlled chain reaction, what we are actually going to do is, whenever the rate of production becomes greater than the rate of loss, we are going to control this production by absorbing these neutrons. That's what I told. We'll be using the cadmium rods or graphite rods will be dipped into the nuclear reactor so that these slow neutrons will get absorbed. Then the reaction becomes steady.
and we are going to get the steady production of electricity, or energy will be produced. With that we will be going to produce electricity. Then about uncontrolled chain reaction, we are not going to do anything with this production of rate of production. Then what happens? Number of neutrons gets produced continuously, and almost entire fission material will get disintegrated, and the energy will be released all sudden with the explosion, and it is actually what is happening in the nuclear bomb. Okay, so we will continue with the next class about remaining things.